Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. If you're here, go ahead, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. All right. And if you have any questions about anything that I explained during this video, please put your questions in the comment section. Or if you just got a comment, put your comments in the comment section. All right. And I would also like for you to share this video with somebody, at least one other person, really two people, but at least one. All right. Today, because it is Mother's Day, we're doing some Mother's Day math. All right. Mother's Day math based on business projections. Mother's Day math based on business projections. And you see, I got, my favorite TV mom of all time, Claire Huxtable, Felicia Rashad, shout out to her. So I got my Claire Huxtable sweatshirt on, in honor of Mother's Day. Shout out to my mom, right? And all the moms out there, my sisters, my grandmothers, my aunts, and all the thorough moms out there. Shout out to all of them. Now, let's get into this math though. Like I said, this is based on some business projections, right? So this gives us an opportunity to practice calculating percentages. Why is that important? Because percentages are part of the language of math. Not only that, they're the language of business. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, you need to understand percentages. All right. Now that's just business, but also percentages are the language of data, any type of data, right? If you study in history, you need to understand percentages. If you study in psychology, if you study in medicine, you need to understand percentages. If you are reading just any article about anything, any type of quantitative data is going to be included, you need to understand percentages because they're going to give you percentages. And it will be a shame if you don't really understand what a percentage means or how it works or how you calculate it. And you like reading something with a percentage in it, it's almost like being illiterate, right? Even if you can like recognize, it's like a person that can like recognize syllables and pronounce words, but they don't know what the word means. It's the same type of situation, right? Except it's not as easy as just, hitting Google, going to Google and typing in the word and getting the definition real quick, right? This is a little different. This is why, but I want us to understand percentages, okay? So this is why I have so many. I got a whole playlist called calculation problems, percentage calculation problems on this channel, a whole playlist, bunch of videos on there. And this is one of them, right? Because I want people to understand percentages, right? It's part of everyday life. This is math. Well, all math you can use in everyday life, but this is math that you use more frequently in everyday life. All right. So what are we working with here? It says Mother's Day spending in 2025. I didn't write the 2025 part, but it is based on 2025. It's projected to be $34.1 billion. That B stands for the word billion. All right. 34.1. What does that even mean? What's 34.1 mean? Because our units is billions, you would take 34.1 and multiply it by 1 billion to get the expanded form of that dollar amount, which would be 34 billion and 100 million, right? Bunch of zeros after the one. All right. 5.9 billion, take 5.9, multiply it by 1 billion, because B stands for billion, right? Just like in algebra. 5.9 is like a coefficient. B is the variable. Think of it like that way, right? 5.9 times a billion. It will be 5,900,000,000. 3.5 billion. Take 3.5, multiply by 1 billion. You get 3,500,000,000. So when numbers are represented like this is basically a modified version of scientific notation. It's technically not scientific notation with the 34.1 because in scientific notation, which I also have a whole playlist on, right, dedicated to scientific notation, because that's something else we need to be proficient at. This number needs to be between 1 and 10 according to the rules of scientific notation. This number is greater than 10. 34 is greater than 10. So this is not technically scientific notation, but the idea is the same. All right, so now Mother's Day spending is projected to be 34.1 billion overall. There's more information we have. It's projected that $7 billion will be spent on jewelry. $5.9 billion will be spent on special outings, taking your mom to her favorite restaurant or whatever, maybe go to brunch after church or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Since it's on a Sunday. $3.5 billion spent on electronics. Maybe buy your mom a new iPhone or, get a new plasma TV or flat screen TV or whatever, a new laptop, a new whatever, you know what I'm saying? So now notice that these numbers do not add up to 34.1. That's something that we should have noticed, right? These numbers add up to, let's see, 7. I round this up to 6. I get 13. 13 plus 3.5, 16.5, right? These are the most popular spendings, the most popular, right? Because these only add up to like $16.5 billion. But it's expected that 34.1 billion will be spent. So the remainder is spent on other things that are just not as popular as these three. These are the top three categories: jewelry, special outings, and electronics. All right. Now, the question I have is, what are the percentages for each of these categories? What's the percentages? So how do we calculate the percentage? I know it's 7 billion, but how does 7 billion compare to the total amount, right? Think about this. A percentage is just a fraction where the number 100 is your denominator. That's all a percentage is. Okay? So let's grab our calculator and get to work. But first, let's set up the fraction. So for jewelry, what's the percentage for jewelry? We take the amount that's projected to be spent on jewelry, which is $7 billion. That's our numerator. Our numerator. So we say 7B. Divide that by the total amount, 34.1B. So 7B divided by 34.1B. We go there, we grab our calculator. We do 7 divided by 34.1. Now, we could do it manually. We could write it down on the board, but I'm not going to do that because we don't need to. All right, I got other videos where I show you how to divide, right? We're not doing that in this video. In this video, we're using a calculator. All right, so now notice, follow there's a word for this. Order of operations? No, it's not. Is it really order of? No. Follow the rules of division. Do not do. Some people are uncomfortable with dividing a smaller number by a larger number. So what? Be uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Do not do 34.1 divided by 7. Don't go bottom up. We're dividing the numerator by the denominator, or the dividend by the divisor, right? 7 divided by 34.1. It doesn't matter if the first number is smaller. It don't matter. You still do not abandon the rules of division. So many students do that all the time. They feel uncomfortable. Oh, I don't want to get a decimal. I don't want to. Nah, it don't matter. Top down. If it's set up like a fraction, top down. All right. Now, here's another thing. Do I need to write out 7 and them 9 zeros after the 7? Do I need to write out 34, 1, and then those all those extra zeros after that? Do I need to do that? Is it 6 zeros or is it 5? 6 zeros, 34 million, 100 million. 6 and 2. It's like 8 zeros. That's like 8, right? No, you don't. Because think about it like this. The billions basically cancel each other out. Because a billion divided by a billion is 1. So you only need to do 7 divided by 34.1. That's another key element of this. So do 7 divided by 34.1. That's equal to 0.205278592 on the calculator. And then what you do is you take that number, right? And actually, this is what I should have did. Instead of writing the equal sign, you take this, you divide the amount of jewelry divided by the total amount, and then you take that, whatever it is, and multiply it by 100. That's how you get the percentage. So I take this decimal that's on my calculator, and I'm going to multiply it by 100, which gives me 20.5%. I got my decimal point. 24.5%. So that means like a fifth of all the money, because 20% is equal to 1/5. A fifth of all the money spent on Mother's Day was spent on jewelry, or is projected to be spent on jewelry. All right. Now, let's do special outings. We'll write that up here. Special out. Make another fraction. 5.9 divided by 34.1. 5.9 divided by 34.1 times 100. I don't need to write the billions. I don't need that. I don't need to, right? Because the billions basically cancel out. So, and again, we're not doing 34.1 divided by 5.9. Do not do that. Do not. I repeat, do not do that. All right. So 5.9 divided by 34.1. 0.173020528. Okay, take that decimal, multiply it by 100. You get 17.3%. So that's almost a fifth, almost another fifth, 17.3%. 17 is almost 20, right? So special outings, 17.3%. All right, that does not mean 17.3 billion. That just means 17.3% of 34 billion. So it's this much, 5.9 billion. 5.9 billion is 17.3%. Remember, a percentage is a fraction. It's another way to express a fraction, but a fraction that has a 100 for its denominator, right? Fractions can have any denominator, but percentages always have 100 for their denominator. All right, last but not least, electronics. All right, so electronics. So we're going to write electronics. And then our fraction is going to be 3.5 divided by 34.1. And I already told y'all, you better not be doing 34.1 divided by 3.5. We're not going bottom up. We're not defying gravity, going from the bottom up. We go top down. That's how we divide with fractions. When it's set up like a fraction, we divide top down. So you go 3.5 divided by 34.1. We get 0.102639296. Multiplied by 100, you would get 10.3%. Now I'm rounding because I would get 10.26%. Another thing you got to know how to do is round numbers. You got to know how to round numbers up or round down when it's appropriate. All right, in this case, it was appropriate. The 6 that was to the right of the 2, 6 is greater than 5. So that means the 2 goes up and turns into a 3. Electronics, 10%, roughly 10%. 10% of all this money. All right, so these top 3 categories represented, let's see, 20 and 17 is 37. 37 and 10 is 47. 47, let me see, 0.6, that's 48.1. They represented 48.1%. So almost half of all the money spent, these top 3 categories represented almost, because 48, how do I know it's almost half? Because 48 is almost 50, and 50% is half. 50% is half. 48% is almost 50%. So 48% is almost half. So that means, and this is the sum of these 3 categories added up. 20 and 17 is 37. 37 and 10 is 47. 47 and 0.5 and 0.3 is 0.8. 0.8 and 0.3 is 1.1. 47 plus 1.1 is 48.1. So 48.1%, right, is the sum of these 3 categories, right? 48%. So almost half, right? So yeah, just something I want y'all to know how to do. So this is, and it's Mother's Day. So I found this data online, it was in a newsletter that somebody sent out. And I thought it was interesting. And these are questions. So, and as I read the newsletter, I naturally had this question. I wonder what the percentage breakdowns are of this, of the jewelry, the special outings, and the electronics. I had those questions because I have intellectual curiosity, which as a parent, if you're watching this, I want you to think about this deeply. Your children, especially when they're babies, when they're toddlers, when they're infants, when they start to go to daycare and all that, and they get around that age, they have a lot of what's called intellectual curiosity, right? It is our responsibility as parents, mine too. I'm a parent. I got 3 children, to help to maintain, foster, facilitate, and help to grow and increase their intellectual curiosity. Unfortunately, what happens far too often is the society dumbs our children down. Not only does the society dumb our children down, it makes our children not care about being smart, not care about asking questions, not care about finding things out. The society is already doing that. The media is definitely doing that. Now, with the proliferation of the technology that we have access to, now children are being taught you don't need to ask questions. You don't need to try to figure things out because there's going to be a computer or an app or a phone that'll just tell you the answer. So you don't need to think. You don't need to wonder. You don't need to have imagination. Parents, it's our responsibility to fight back against that. One of the best things we could do for our children is to maintain their intellectual curiosity. We have to have intellectual curiosity. And when our children come to us and ask us questions, we can't respond negatively. That is one of the ways that they lose their intellectual curiosity, because when they're all, curious and all wondering, like, oh, how does this work? How does that work? I get it. Sometimes we had a long day. We had a bad day. We don't want to be bothered. We just want to go decompress and chill. And here comes this 5-year-old asking you questions about, how far away is the moon from the earth? You don't know, right? You get frustrated, right? Don't show the frustration, because if you show the frustration, that's going to make the child think, oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't be asking questions. I'm sure you didn't mean to communicate that to them. You was just having a bad day at the moment. But understand the impact and the effect of that. So one of the best things we could do for our children is to help them maintain their intellectual curiosity, right? A lot of adults don't have intellectual curiosity. I feel bad for them, but you can get it back though. You can get it back. Like I said, this question came from intellectual curiosity. I'm reading the newsletter, just skimming through it, and I'm like, oh, I wonder. I wonder what the percentage breakdowns of this is. And because I know math and because I know the formula and how to figure out percentage breakdowns, I'm like, oh, let me figure this out. And then, since I've maintained this YouTube channel where I'm trying to teach everybody how to do math, I say, let me make content out of this in honor of Mother's Day. All right. So, like I said, make sure you help to develop and maintain your child's grandchildren's, nieces, nephews, whoever, little cousins, whatever, little kids in your neighborhood, maintain their intellectual curiosity. All right. And make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Drop some questions and comments in the comment section and share this video with at least one other person. And last but not least, happy Mother's Day. See y'all later.